Welcome back to another episode of the Gun Collective News, the only gun news show that covers things that you actually care about. My name is Jon Patton. Go subscribe right now to my new channel if you want to see some epic, off-the-grid vehicle tours, travel videos, van life, a bunch of cool stuff. Go subscribe, link in the description. Now, how about some news? First up, Beretta has 3 new guns to cover. We'll start with the handgun. There is a new pistol called the 92X Performance Carry Optic. Long story shorter, they're taking the already tuned up 92X and adding a slightly better trigger and an optic cut on the slide. The gun is meant to live in the USPSA Carry Optic division. That's a competition, so it's tailored to that market. There is a steel frame that makes the gun weigh 47.6 ounces, which means recoil will be light because it's heavy, and then you have what they call the Extreme S trigger system, which is a fully adjustable for take-up, brake, and over-travel system. They also claim it reduces reset up to 40% over standard 90 series triggers, which isn't that crazy. Then you add in the optic cut, which is nice, and the finish on the gun, which is also nice, and it seems pretty rad overall. To me, the 92 is a classic, and this is like a hot rod version of a classic. It's certainly not the most modern thing out there, but I'm betting it is a lot of fun to shoot. MSRP on the 92X Performance Carry Optic is $17.99. The other 2 guns from Beretta this week are shotguns. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm a Beretta semi-auto fan, to the point where I have repeatedly called the A400 Extreme the best semi-auto shotgun around. That said, they have a new A400 Upland variant chambered in 28 gauge. Now, personally, I don't have a ton of experience with the dinky shotgun round that is 28 gauge, but I do know that it is very popular for hunting smaller species of birds, because it's very lightweight and a bit more nimble because the gun doesn't require a drain pipe for a barrel. These have an MSRP of $18.29, and the next one is another lightweight shotgun, but it's a break action style this time, and it's called the Ultra Leggero, aka Ultra Lightweight. Long story short, this is a 12 gauge over-under with either a 26 or 28 inch barrel, and it tips the scales at just 6.6 pounds. Now, this is actually not the lightest weight shotgun they make. However, the balance is different because the receiver is lightweight, so it's not like there's a heavy chunk at the back. MSRP here is $3,000, which isn't that bad for this type of gun. Moving on from there, a typically expensive brand puts out a more expensive version of a cheaper gun. Confusing words aside, Wilson Combat has a new version of the P320 in partnership with SIG. It's called the WCP320 Compact. Think of this like a premium version of the 320 Compact. It's got the Wilson Combat X-Tac patterns on the slide, the Wilson grip module with their own fancy stippling, and a black DLC finish on the metal. There's also Wilson's own battle sights, as they call them, which appears to be a fiber optic front and a black serrated rear. And even though this isn't the X model, they are using the X model flat face trigger. The pricing for this dolled up 320, $12.55. I gotta be honest, for that money, I would expect an optic cut and it's left out, which is kind of a disappointment. The Alias by Neomag offers unparalleled concealment, strength, and modularity. Using one of their universal holster clips and receivers, you can mount your holstered gun to just about anything. Your belt, your Vertex bag or safe, your nightstand or desk, or even without a belt at all using their new beltless receiver. Click your holster into the next evolution of everyday carry. To get yourself a free universal holster clip when you buy your first receiver, use our code TGC alias over at theneomag.com. Moving on still, Bighorn Armory has a new version of their Model 89 lever action. For those out of the loop, these are chambered in 500 Magnum, and this new Black Thunder edition is essentially a tuned-up tactical version. There is a Scout-style optic rail in the front of the action, plus an M-lock handguard thing to mount stuff to out on the end, and then there's also a big old muzzle brake on the end. It's huge. I actually own one of these. I've owned it for a long time, and if I'm not mistaken, I was the first one to ever run a can on one. For me, a full black version kind of takes away from what makes this gun special and cool. But whatever, maybe I'm a FUD or something. MSRP is $2,900. Yet another expensive gun now. This one is from Christensen Arms, and it's called the MHR, or Modern Hunting Rifle. Now, Christensen is known for super nice bolt actions, so this should be no different. The MHR is based on an aluminum chassis at its core, and then it has some ultra lightweight carbon fiber parts on it. The carbon stuff was made using the Christensen flash forged technology, which is a zero waste manufacturing process and doesn't produce harmful toxins or emissions, at least according to them. Honestly, it's about damn time we see stuff like this working its way into the gun industry. It makes a ton of sense, especially with the conservation side of things, and I love it. Now, the gun itself can be had in 6.5 Creed, 6.5 PRC, or 308, and barrel lengths are all the same 22 inches across the board. The bolt knob, forearm, and adjustable stock are made from that FFT carbon process, and the gun also has a nice TriggerTech trigger as well. MSRP on this is $3,500, and the gun weighs in at 7.4 pounds. Not the lightest thing out there, but it has some nice tech in it. I'm super curious to get your thoughts on renewable, sustainable, and zero-waste manufacturing when it comes to gun-related products. So sound off below and let me know where you think it could come in and make some serious improvements, and if you think it's worth the investment from gun brands. Should they be doing that? Next up, SIG has announced the next generation of the MCX. It's called the MCX Spear LT, and it's pretty interesting. They've taken the best of the Gen 1 MCX and then the MCX Virtus and sort of put it into this new generation. So perhaps it's more of a Gen 2.5. The biggest change comes from the ambi controls in the lower, the ambi bolt catch specifically. There's also smaller tweaks to the handguard and barrel to add rigidity. And then the other interesting thing is the trigger system. They've made some modifications that allow you, once again, to use an AR-15 trigger in the platform like you could on Gen 1, as it should be. The stock is an enlarged, beefier version of the Rattler stock, and comes with a cheek piece for higher mounted optics. There are 3 available calibers in the new LT, 5.56, 300 black, and now 7.62 39. They say that the new 7.62 39 will run any, and they stressed any, ammo on the market, and they said they've tested all of them. Reviewers, this is your cue to find some super obscure crap to shove down the bore. I want to see it choke. The 7.62 39 will come in at 16-inch or 11.5-inch versions. 5.56 will be the same as that, and the 9-inch will be the 300 blackout version. They also brag about these being built around running a suppressor and include their own proprietary muzzle device, so it will work with their cans. And as per usual, there is no MSRP from SIG, so I'm going to make it up. The new SIG MCX Spear LT has an MSRP of a slightly used Sony A7R4 mirrorless camera. I wonder what they're going to do with all those. Leave a comment below with weird stuff that they could do with that many cameras. That'll be ridiculous. If you want to see more gun news every single week, be sure to check our links in the video description for all of our sponsor and affiliate deals. Be sure to check out Neomag. They support us big time. You'll save some money and we keep the lights on. It's a win-win. Also, get subscribed and follow us on all your social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, etc. As always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.
Yep, it's over, but don't worry, you can click on the video up top to watch last week's show, and the one below that is the one that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Check them out and let me know what you think.